Already, so many things have been said, so I'll try to be brief and quickly show a few slides. In fact, on legal aspect about the wards, a lot has been mentioned. About the legal aspect of the assembly and parliamentary and assembly constituencies, though laws have been mentioned, but delimitation commission has come again and again in wards. Unfortunately, delimitation act basically is meant for delimitation of assemblies and parliamentary constituencies. And since there is no rotation in that, therefore, the concept of the conflict doesn't arise as we see in case of wards. I'll come to that later. Let me show you my PPT quickly. So basically, I'll be again, as mentioned, talking about the delimitation of constituencies and briefly mention about ward boundaries. So I'll not be spending much time on that. So a lot of have been covered already. What are the issues that I'll be covering in this? Basically, they'll be covering fixing of boundaries of territorial constituencies and legislative bodies like parliament and assembly constituency, and a little bit about the local body wards. Delimitation, I mean, for the first one, territorial boundaries, the delimitation commission has been appointed. Last one was in 2002 on the basis of 2001 census figures. Delimitation was done. Before that, in 1952, the first delimitation was done by Election Commission of India. Actually, the proposal was prepared by the Election Commission of India and approved by the President. So that was the first and only one with the Election Commission of India did delimitation. In many other countries, election commissions do delimitation of constituencies, but in India, only the first one was done like that. And after that, we had only delimitation commissions. 52, 62, after 61 census, 63, I think it was, after 71 census, 73, and so on. So after 73, what happened? People in the South started crying when the matter came around 1981 census. They said our population has come down. So if you are dividing the society, the number of seats across the state population-wise, we'll be losers. And when I was the Deputy Election Commissioner looking after delimitation activities in the commission, I found about 13, 14 seats were being transferred from south to north, if you follow the population. So delimitation was postponed on the basis of 91 census, 81 census and 91 census. And then I think Vajpayee ji was keen that the delimitation should be done. So the Delimitation Act was issued based on census 1991. But the matter got so delayed that it became 2001 census figures also came in. So it was thought that this should be revised. So another act was passed for that was 2002 Delimitation Act. And in that it was fixed. It was said that there will be no change in the constituencies of South Indian states. So only reconfiguring and making the boundaries such that all constituencies have equal size in that particular state. Like I'll give an example. In Chandni Chowk, it was about 3.5 to 4 lakhs population for the entire constituency, while in South Delhi, it was nearly 34 lakhs. So, but
sorry, Nur Mohammed, it was Outer Delhi, which was 35 lakhs.
Outer Delhi, South Delhi, Outer Delhi, that is South Delhi, isn't it? That was 34 lakhs. So at that time, what happened? What was thought out? The number of constituencies will remain 7, but this will be done in such a way that population in all constituencies remains equal. So that is when I mean minor figures must be changing, but I think 34 lakh is in my mind. That is Outer Delhi, of course. I'm mentioning that because in that area a lot of development has taken place, a lot of urbanization has taken place. So to correct this and make the size of the constituencies equal, this was done, and so and after that, again it was thought that let it wait for 2031 census. So in the Act 2020 2002 Act, it was mentioned that after census after 2026, which means 2031, only the delimitation will take place. Now, well, initially it is against the spirit of the constitution, but it was done because of certain other reasons, and that is where we are. Because constitution wanted, if you want equality of population, then after every census, this has to be corrected. Now, so therefore, I'll be talking a little bit about this. And delimitation, of course, there's a delimitation commission. I mean, details have been already said. There is a chairman of the commission who is a retired judge, and the election commission, chief election commissioner or his representative is a member, and the state election commissioners also are a third member. And in addition to that, there are associate members. There are associate members. They are appointed by the political parties. They are not voters. They don't vote, but they give their inputs and to improve the draft, and finally the order is issued. So this is about the delimitation commission. That is the parliament and the assembly. For the state wards, I mean municipal wards and panchayat wards, state governments generally have different models. Like in Delhi, election commissioner, state election commissioner of Delhi is the chairman, and there are two people who are made members. And these three people, they make a draft and put up before the LG, who approves it. In UP, it is entirely different. It is the district magistrate who prepares the draft and sends it to the government. And government, there are two departments. For panchayat, it goes to Panchayat Raj department, and for municipalities, goes to urban development department. And it is they who decide. State election commissioner doesn't have much role. In some other states, state election commissioners have role, but in some states they don't have. It is only government who is doing that. And it is the rotation which is creating more problem. In fact, in parliament and assembly elections, there is no rotation, so that kind of problem doesn't come. And now I'll talk about a little bit of principles, what we follow and what is supposed to be followed. This principle is to be followed by the Central Delimitation Commission as well as the state authorities. Now, the first thing is that people should feel that they are getting a representative who actually represents them. Like if I talk about Malihabad is a predominantly Muslim population. But that gets reserved all the time because some population is added in such a way that scheduled castes become more in that particular constituency. So since then, last time when some Pathans came from there and said, look, we are always being ignored, we can't contest election from here. And then I jocularity said, do you want some murders to take place, because Pathans are supposed to be very short-tempered and they might result in killing. But somehow the point they were making was very important. So what was being done, I'll talk about later. So the point I can make from here is that delimitation can be another way to manage elections, to even say rig elections in a certain way. So I'll come to those 2 points later on, and how it has been done in some other countries. I'll give an example of US. Voting strength, it has been already talked about, population. Now, independent, impartial, and boundary authority. So, in central government and in Government of India, it is Delimitation Commission, and where the retired judge of Supreme Court actually heads it. So, it is supposed to be independent. And Article 329 is so strong; it says that whatever Delimitation Commission does, it can't be questioned, it can't be reviewed. What the president can do, it will only lay it in the House of the Parliament. President can maximum delay its implementation for some time. So that is why if it is an independent body, then this kind of ban can be done on the courts to intervene, or maybe even Parliament or Assembly to intervene. But in state, municipal and panchayat delimitation, basically the idea is, failing this, the procedure of delimiting districts should be very clearly spelled out. And what Zafar Bhai was telling is that if there is no provision of those kind of some kind of international principles being followed in the State Act, then at least the procedure should be such that it is done in a way regardless of who is drawing authority. So it should be very clearly spelled out so that everybody knows there is a transparency and there is no possibility of any mischief. Transparency, of course, and non-discrimination. These are the two other points. Now, what criteria elsewhere in the world being followed and what is there enshrined in the Delimitation Act also? One is, of course, the geographical area. Now, when in 2002-3, we found that in Aligarh, there was one constituency like this. There was some area in between and then some part here. So this part, as this part was making one constituency, and in between there was something else. So definitely we corrected it. And maybe because there is no population here and people did not, add these areas into this. Population was not counted. Some mistake must have been done. So geographical contiguity has to be there. Administrative boundary is also important because suppose there is one Lekpal, one Patwari, and he has to look after 3 constituencies, then it will be very difficult for him to manage. So what is done is, in one constituency, as far as possible, one entire Patwari circle must go, so that administratively it is convenient for him to concentrate on one. Geographical features, I have seen in many places, there is some area is here and there is a river, and some area is here. Now, if you have constituency like this and there is no bridge here, then of course it will be very difficult. Suppose here polling station is here and some people from here are attached to come and vote here. It will be very difficult. In fact, it happened once in Lalitpur. There is a dam and sluice gate opens, and here there was some population and polling station was here. They could not go here. And they needed some repoll, and then ultimately what we had to do, we went out of the way because observers were not willing to order repoll. We went out of the way to from the Election Commission to order repoll in this particular place because of the flooding in this river on that day, the voting could not take place. So geographical features and physical features have to be taken into account at the time of delimitation. Then compactness, of course, has to be there because it will be easier to serve for the returning officer, for the ERO, for the elected representative. Population equity we have talked about. It should be simple procedure so that everybody understands and nobody thinks that is being manipulated. Community of interest, ethnic groups, like in case of tribes that has been mentioned in the earlier presentation. In case of tribes, wherever the maximum tribe population, that gets reserved. But in case of scheduled caste, the law is that should be spread across the state. Now, what is happening is, suppose in UP there are, say, 80 seats to be reserved. Now, these 80 seats are divided amongst districts on the basis of the population percentage. So some districts get 2, some districts get 3, some gets 1. And then within that district, those scheduled caste seats are given. So that is why the kind of problems that were being mentioned arise because of this kind of distribution, and that is provided in the Act. Basically, the reason was that one area where only scheduled caste is there, that should not be represented only by scheduled caste throughout the period. Somebody else should also represent there so that there is a communal harmony. There is people go to scheduled caste to ask for votes. If a person from upper caste has to go to scheduled caste area and ask for votes, it will develop a different kind of harmony in the society. In fact, what is the problem of our first past the post system? Polarization is paying only because we have got the first past the post system. If we had a proportional or mixed system or alternative voting system in India, this kind of polarization would not have worked, and people would not have really resorted to polarization. So there is a problem with our electoral system as well, but that is a different thing, and we can talk about it some other time. Then avoiding voting strength, equal protection to weaker sections and minorities. Like Malihabad example, I said it is definitely a failure of giving equal protection to certain groups. Some groups are deliberately being sort of eliminated from contest. And I'll tell you how they could have been allowed to contest. Proportionality, of course, votes to be translated into seats proportionally. Like in Chandni Chowk, there were 3.5 or 4 lakh voters, and in Outer Delhi, it was about 34 lakh voters. There is no proportionality. The value of vote in Chandni Chowk was 1 upon 3, about 4 lakhs. And in Outer Delhi, it was 1 upon 34 lakhs. So there is no proportionality, and that definitely needed to be corrected. Serviceability, as I mentioned, the logistic point of view from administrator's point of view, as well as electoral representative. Now, this is a picture I keep giving. There was a guy called Jerry. In Parliament in US, they make their own constituencies, and he was a member. He was elected member, so he had to make his own constituency, and he chose areas which basically consisted of his supporters, like this. And this is an animal called Mander. So after his Jerry's name, since he created a constituency like this called gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is done. I mean, this is an example. It became famous in US, but everywhere in the world, gerrymandering is being done to eliminate some people, to put some groups in disadvantage, and so on. And I'll tell you what are the processes to do it. Now, one process is packing. What you do in packing? You concentrate as many voters of one type into a single electoral district to reduce their influence in other districts. So that is called packing. I'll show you. I'll show you by an example now. And second one is, some cases there may be done to obtain representation for a community of common interest, such as to create a majority-minority district rather than to dilute the interest or else several districts to a point of ineffectiveness. Now, how it can be done? How packing can be done? Suppose this is the population, and suppose this is population, say about 60% or 65% people are one community. Now, if this is a constituency, then what will happen is this community alone will win all the time. But there is another way. If I divide it like this, and this area is added to some constituency A, this goes to B, and this goes to C, then also they will be having 20% or 20% or so population in these. And with, as you see, with 20% population, one can say 20% population, or 20, this will be very important group. This particular community will be very important group in this constituency also. So they will influence election here also. They will influence election here also. Okay, sorry. So they will influence election here also, and all the 3 places. So this is called packing. So you packed it into one so that their influence gets limited to only one constituency. Otherwise, they could influence in 2 or in 3. Now, there is a cracking, something called cracking also. Now, it involves spreading out voters of a particular type among many districts. So, sufficiently large block in any particular district. An example would be to split the voters in urban areas among several districts where the majority of voters are suburban. And on the assumption that 2 groups would vote differently and like that. So suppose this is the area, and suppose this is the urban area. The entire area is urban area, and there are so many rural areas here. So what I can do, I can distribute this to this constituency, to that constituency, to this goes to some other constituency. So this number gets limited and becomes small in those constituencies. So the influence of this particular voter group will be completely minimized, because in these constituencies there will be rural areas, there will be rural voters, and they will vote differently. These are urban voters. So this is how you can crack the population in such a way that the voter population becomes ineffective. And this kind of thing is done very deliberately by people, not maybe by the delimitation authorities, but in a very designed manner. It is done by people. How it can be done? Now, what happens? Generally, the delimitation staff is burdened with many other works. So they have to prepare a draft. and definitely under pressure they have to do something. What happens? Some groups are very wise. They also have the access to the same information. So they prepare draft according to the actual criteria and share the draft to most of the lower level functionaries who are supposed to be making it. And it becomes very easy for them to just copy it with minor modifications and submit it as a draft. So if you are able to and willing and positive to work as draft level, when the delimitation is being done, probably you can make a lot of difference because the procedures are more or less same in every places. The mistake that Zafar Bhai has raised have come out in various places only because the delimitation staff didn't have much time. They didn't have the time to think that Delimitation Act, which is though for Central Delimitation Act, not for wards, but the main procedures, the principles have to be adopted in even ward delimitation. So probably they won't have time to really refer to back to another act, which they were not really obliged to. And most of the things must have come because of that. Now, assembly constituencies, I think, much have been said by the earlier speakers. So they have talked about the Delimitation Commission and how it is done. Now, one thing people didn't talk about, deviation. As far as possible, when they say as far as possible, equal size of population must be one constituency. So the deviation of 10% has been allowed. And as I said, the area has to be contiguous, then it has to be as far as possible equal. Then administrative boundaries can't be broken. So keeping those, while adjusting all those, 10% of plus minus 10% becomes the limit, deviation, allowed deviation. So that is why this deviation takes place. That is why some constituencies become more, little more. But if some constituencies is more than 10% or less than 10%, then you can say that there is something wrong and question can be raised. Other criteria of this you have already mentioned: means of communication, public convenience, contiguity. That was the general principle, internationally accepted principle, and this is Indian Delimitation Act principles that have been given in the Indian Delimitation Act. Now, what is the procedure? Now, here there is a link. If you go on this link and click, you will get entire procedure of the Delimitation Commission, and I'm not touching that. I leave it to people interested to go on that link and have a look at that. The procedure broadly is that based on the criteria that is mentioned in the Delimitation Act and the population figures made available by the census, they make a working paper. And this working paper is then shared with the associate members. These associate members are members nominated by political parties. They are supposed to be helping the Delimitation Commission in making good constituencies. Then the associate members are invited, shared, the draft is shared with them, and their inputs are taken and duly incorporated in the draft. So after the draft is ready, then it is widely circulated to seek suggestions of the academia, civil society organizations, and the public. Sittings are also made. So it is published in at least 2 major papers in the state. And after their suggestions also come, still the Delimitation Commission can go and have a public meeting in selected places. So this is the area, this is the work done just to make it transparent. And after that, final decision, delimitation order is issued. So inputs are received and then it is done. For the reservation of seats, as it has been mentioned earlier, that section 330 and 332, a reservation is done for parliament as well as assemblies. And there the procedure is entirely different. For scheduled tribe, the procedure adopted is whosoever has the maximum, whichever constituency has the maximum tribe population, that becomes the scheduled tribe is the population. But for about scheduled caste, the situation is not the same. For scheduled caste, as I mentioned, it has to be distributed across the state, and that is why the kind of anomalies that have been observed in the earlier representation are coming. The solution would be to either change the law or sort of go to the court to get some interpretation so that in future those kind of things don't happen. Scheduled caste constituencies are dispersed, that I mentioned, and similarly about tribes I mentioned already. So final order is issued after getting all the inputs, and if you see, President is requested to notify this, and there is a link below at the bottom. If you want to see all the delimitation orders of the country, entire country, you can get the details of any constituency already on this website and for further studies. So this is in brief what we have for delimitation of the parliamentary constituencies as well as assembly constituencies. Code ban, I said, 329 already. There's no. These orders are not. They come into force on the date specified by the president, but it can't be. These are laid before the House, but it can't be discussed and it can't be. Amendments cannot be suggested in this. Part 2 is ward. About the ward, criteria about more or less remains same, like contiguity, population equity, and so on and so forth. And the state government, Department of Urban Development or Panchayat Raj carry out delimitation. In some states, it is the State Election Commission or a committee created by the government to, like in case of Delhi, LG has created a committee where State Election Commissioner is the chair and the 2 members. So they make a draft and then it is approved by the government. The Constitution provides for reservation. It provides for, but the Constitution says for other backward classes also states can do reservation, can reserve seats. So many states have reserved seats. Many have not also. Like Delhi, I don't think there is a reservation for OBC. If somebody knows about it, he can correct me. But like UP, it has got reservation, and the law provides for 1/3 reservation for women. But many states have gone beyond that, far beyond that, 50%, up to that. Even some states have gone. Now, this 1/3, in fact, 30% reservation has been mandated in Beijing conference, where India is also a part of is a signatory of the protocol, and it was supposed to be in the parliament as well as assembly also, but it could not materialize till now. You know the history behind it, and that is where we have to work. The women members particularly have to work. But for women reservation in the local bodies is definitely a very good idea. And if we want to really improve the local governance, it is the women who need to be educated, how to govern, how to make proposals, how to conduct meetings, and so on and so forth. Some work by some NGO on this will definitely make the lower level democracy very, very strong. So that's it. OBC has been given by many states. Roster is creating more problem. In fact, as in municipal, in Bombay, it is said that all wards someday or the other should get reserved. That is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is by the delimitation commission, which during every delimitation decides which ward will be or which constituency will be reserved. And then again another when the other delimitation comes after 2 elections, then again it will be decided. So probably, I mean, arguments could be on both sides. I personally would not go against what Mumbai has done, because the Central Delimitation Commission has this issue that if I do it today, at least for 2 elections, that particular same community will continue sending their candidate from there. And in fact, we could not even incorporate women reservation. If that is the criteria to be done through rotation, one can always have 1/3 reservation for women, and every 3 years, every third election, every fourth election actually, a constituency can be mentioned as a women industry. It's a very simple process, only one can do it, but there is no political will, and that's why it has not been. Roster is also creating problem, in fact. In UP, for instance, roster was created on the basis of in 1996, I think, precise. And later on, when another government came, probably SP government came, they changed the criteria. And then now, when this election was going to happen in 2020, UP government again tried to change the criteria and bring the old criteria. So there was a lot of controversy, and people went to court, and that is where it is. So roster is also creating problem. The confusion is whether all the wards should get rotated so that in every ward people get of all communities get a chance to be elected, or should be like the Central Delimitation Act. So those are the issues which need to be resolved. Now here are the few cases like Delhi. You can go on the link given in this, and I think people in Delhi, most of us, they know the problem. There was a problem in election it was getting delayed, and Supreme Court agreed that that the delimitation for so many constituencies can be for women, so many constituencies women for scheduled caste can be given. So all details order has been given by the commission, and here is I'll give you the details. Here is the order that was given. So it was said that that 15 assembly constituencies will have 2 seats reserved for scheduled caste. And out of these 2 seats, 1 will be given to women. So this will, and the 16th seat for the women will be this particular last one, belonging to the scheduled caste seat, falling in the last assembly. So this is the criteria. This is the entire thing has been, court has ordered about 3rd seat for this will be like this. So detailed order has been passed by the court. And these are the court orders which are going to set precedent for reform in the electoral law in the course. So this is a brief presentation from my side. So I thank you very much for patiently listening to me. And now I'll stop sharing.